some way to where I grew up fishing, really. Sort of maybe reminisce a bit about my career. When lockdown started in March, we were actually working for Embryo in Essex, doing a job for those guys, and Elliot was there filming it. There's a really good episode actually on the Sipography website, which is amazing. It makes us look really cool actually. And yeah, when it all kicked off, we had a bit of a lull for a couple of weeks where a lot of our summer work sort of got postponed. In the end, it all got sort of redone, most of it, and the rest we'll do next summer. But yeah, it just I had memories popping up on social media, and it sort of made me realise how lucky I've been really in my career. I've done such really varied work, from years ago going to places like Middle East, which was a real adventure. You know, again, it was what you class as a greenfield site. There was nothing there, and now there's lakes there, and I helped sort of in the very beginning, you know, drawing out diagrams of what the lakes wanted to look like and everything, and taught them about stocking densities and fish husbandry and everything. And it was an amazing adventure, and it was a really good another good stepping stone really, you know, building up a fishery management career. I mean, obviously before that I'd worked for donkey's years in fishery management. It's when I went to college, it's because it's 28 years really. The first time I went netting I was 16, only just 16, and so it's been 28 years since I've been doing this job. No other job, just fishery management since then. I haven't just sort of wandered into it in the last few years. You know, it's been my life's work. So yeah, it's made me reminisce, and I don't take any of it for granted. It's been amazing. You know, I've had so many opportunities to do some amazing things and work with some amazing people. From sort of, we did an episode of Casualty where I was sort of helping teach these actors how to handle fish, and I had to supply some live fish for that. It was quite an adventure as well, and going from that to bits and pieces with some well-known anglers, doing bits and pieces for Sky, and meeting some amazing people really, and it's been an absolute joy. But yeah, 28 years is a long time, and I still enjoy it. I don't feel like I feel like I've only been doing it 5 minutes, to be fair, because you're always learning. Nowadays you've got forums and all sorts of everyone telling you what you should be doing and this, that and the other, but I think when you built up a real portfolio of work and a portfolio of experience over nearly getting on 3 decades, it gives you a good grounding to go and do what I'm doing today and what I was doing yesterday and what we do a lot of the time, which is just sort of go and do site visits and consultancy work. It's not based on, you know, just a qualification that I did donkeys years ago and working on one site. It's based on travelling around the country, and to be fair, around Europe, exploring and finding out what goes on everywhere, not just from one source. So yeah, I mean, working for people like Embryo and the Carp Society kindly made me one of the directors there, which again is a real proud moment for me. You know, I absolutely love all this sort of stuff. To have some input into these historic waters now is a real pleasure, you know, and I absolutely love it, and we don't take it for granted. There's loads of stuff. You know, we've been involved from the ground up on a lot of fisheries, like Chris and Jane in Norfolk at Hall Walks, and Paul Dunn at Commonwood. There's loads where we've sort of put a mark on them and helped them as much as we can from day one, really, and it's just a pleasure. You know, I absolutely love it. I was in Middlesbrough yesterday at a lovely little angling club, and today I'm going back to where it all started for me. I guess it's a lake in East Anglia. It's 7 o'clock, 6:30 now, and yeah, it's probably the first gravel pit I ever fished seriously for carp. I used to fish at Weybridge pits in Norfolk and here where I'm going now. So yeah, it all seems to sort of have come full circle really. The diary's getting really busy for the winter. We've got an awful lot going on in the winter, which we're really thankful for. We've obviously got regular clients, but welcoming new ones as well. So the boys are down the gym now, getting ready to get as fit as me. Ready for the early starts every day and cold weather. Well, we always say that, but we haven't really had many cold snaps. You know, last time it was generally thought it was a bit nippy was when we had the beast from the east. But we only get 1 or 2 weeks of sort of cold snaps, and that seems to be it the last few years. But yeah, it was just a bit of a poignant moment really. I thought, Christ, when was the first time I was netting? It was 28 years ago, so it doesn't feel like that. It feels like 5 minutes ago. And I've helped a lot of students on the way as well, ex-Bar Schultz students that I've helped in their development, and obviously I've kept hold of the best ones, and it's just great. It's a passion. It's not a job. To me it's a passion. It never feels like work. Yeah, you got aches and pains, and it doesn't make you a fortune certainly, but it's what I absolutely love to do, and I just love helping fisheries. I always like it when there's issues that you can solve, and half the problem is people want a quick fix. Like I've always said, yes, there are certain things you can do in the short term, but it's the long term I always concentrate on, and trying to concentrate and make angling clubs and fisheries and anyone involved with water really, that the long term plan and the long term development of your fishery is what's going to save it, and what's going to improve everything. It's going to improve catches, it's going to improve the quality of the fishing and the local environment, the immediate environment, and that's what it's all about. It's far from just stocking fish. A lot of people have fell foul of it in recent years. They just dig a hole or get hold of a lake, and they're just constantly stocking it full of fish, and it's fine. You've got that nice window, like a honeymoon period if you like, where you stock fish and there's no problems, no dramas, and then suddenly something happens, like a warm spell, and the oxygen crashes, or you keep pushing the limits with your fish stock, or there's always something that happens, and people are quite willing to chuck loads of money at fish, but very unwilling to chuck a little bit of money looking after them, which I always find a bit odd. But there's so many different types of fisheries, so many different types of fishery owner and people involved, that it's going to be one of those industries where you get a lot of different opinions. But mine's based on what I've seen and what I've done. Obviously I went to college, but that was a long time ago. But yeah, it's always interesting. You're always learning all the time, and I'm very lucky that I go to a lot of fisheries, more than most now, not just to deliver a few fish for 5 minutes, but to actually carry out groundworks and fish surveys and do all sorts of stuff all over the country and in Europe. So it does give you a good grounding to do my job, because you can always see it from a lot of different angles rather than just from one source. If you've only worked at one fishery and for a couple of years, and then you're telling people how to run their businesses, it's not as effective as if you've got information from multiple sources. And that's what I've been able to do. I can go to places and hand on heart say, well, look, this has worked there, but it hasn't worked at 10 other places, or there's always things that run parallel that are going to work at all fisheries when it comes to sustainable fishery management. But a lot of the time you've got to understand it, everything's different all the time, and having a site visit like today, the second you get out of the car, you can see, okay, well, there's always things that shout at you, and there's always things that people haven't seen, so you get a fresh pair of eyes on it. And it's always the same. We go to so many venues in the winter where even before you got a net in the water, you know what the problems are. Sometimes it's glaringly obvious, but yeah, there's only so much you can learn online, to be fair. We work outdoors, we work with nature, in real world environments, and there's only so much you can learn looking at a computer screen. So that's why I love getting out and about, because it just gives you more information to pass on to more clients, so that every day you go and do something, you're learning more. And I absolutely love it, and it's all I've ever done, and it's all I'm ever going to do. So I've just got to get a bit more fit, because I'm feeling old right now. 28 years is a long time to be in waders.